Golf Destination is brought to you by Goslings of Bermuda, the Spirit of Bermuda, The Preserve at Boulder Hills, Club and Residences, New England's most amenity-rich Four Seasons lifestyle community.
Today on Golf Destination, we visit a course that, in its 2-decade-plus history, is one of the most acclaimed courses in all of New England, the Belgrade Lakes Golf Club in Belgrade, Maine. We learn of the genesis of the club and a culture that is a little bit different from other clubs. Stay tuned as we visit one of the best you can play, Belgrade Lakes Golf Club. And welcome to Golf Destination. I'm your host, Meredith Gorman. The people who have played Belgrade Lakes love the setting, the course, and the vibe. Kyle Evans, who has been there since the first shovel entered the ground, has created a unique atmosphere at a spectacular golf course.
This has always been a dream of mine to have a course like this, and we're different. And I think that's, and people sense that. It doesn't matter, coming from the most elite private club in the world, people just get a good feeling here. They enjoy themselves. We're not a high volume operation. 4 groups an hour is what we do best. All our efforts since the day we opened to what we do now are on our product, on the customer. Golf is what we do. We don't try to be something that we're not. We focus all our efforts on our golf course. From the minute you arrive here, you hit with these beautiful vistas. There's 2 Labrador retrievers laying in the sun on the bricks. There's classic rock music playing in the air. It's a unique vibe for a golf course, but we think golf needs a little boost. The dogs on a golf course are very common around the world in Europe, but in America it hasn't been the case, but we're changing that a little bit. And over the last 20 years, we've rebuilt all but 3 of our tees and 1 green. It's exciting to make these changes. It's something we've been looking at for years. And the neat thing about doing these things after being in business is you have a much better understanding of what your needs are, what you're trying to accomplish. When you build a house, you always make changes. You change the flooring. You know what you want after you've been in there a little while. It's the same thing with this piece of property. And it's a living, moving thing. We've been named the #1 course in Maine by Golf Digest the last few years. Golf Magazine, we sort of hit them all. We're one of the only courses in New England to be rated in the top 100 courses you can play in the United States. There's a lot of list freaks out there, and it's really cool. I played them all. This is my last one. I got 3 more to go. That makes us feel good. Never in our wildest dreams did we think that would even happen here. That wasn't our goal when we first started. We just wanted to put a good product together and have people enjoy it and support ourselves. And to be in those leagues is huge. We were 5 stars in Golf Digest up there with, these courses that are outstanding. And through that process, we get groups that are headed to Cabot Links. We get groups that are coming back to hit us and Sugarloaf and all the great Maine courses. That's what that exposure gives us.
Thanks, Kyle. The man who first approached Kyle about being involved in a golf course was Harold Elfond, founder of Dexter Shoes and philanthropist to many throughout Maine.
The beginning of this project was a dream. Mr. Alfond, who was the driving force behind this, he was in his mid-80s, but he loved sports, loved golf.
A great man. Everybody knows what he did for Maine and other places. He donated huge amounts of money to help people. He was a gentleman. He was a visionary. He was a very neat person.
So I got to know him when I was the superintendent at Waterville Country Club, and we talked a little bit about it and never really thought much would come from it, but it's something he always wanted to do in the back of his mind. And then this piece of property, a couple local realtors brought this to his attention, and he was at a stage in his career where he said, let's take a look at this. He wanted a place fun to play that people come back and play over and over again. He didn't want a stuffy country club feel. He's all business, but this was to employ local people, to bring people to this beautiful place and be part of the community. And I think we've done a great job with that. And there's a folklore about it. He loved to talk about it, money I've got, time I don't.
Harold Alphont was 81 when we started the project, and we had to get permitting. Now, Maine, with all the wetlands and the various authorities and agencies that take an interest in what are you going to do on this site, normally gaining a permit can take a very long time. But I think it would be fair to say that Harold Alphont had donated so much money to so many causes. He said, "I'm going to see the governor," he said. So in he goes to see the governor, who I'm sure he knew quite well, and sat down in his office, and I can't remember his name, but the conversation went something like this. "How are you, George?" "I'm fine." "How are you, Harold?" "Well, I'm doing this golf course. I'm 81 years of age, and I want to play it. Permit, 10 weeks. Thumbs up."
Next, we meet the man who designed Belgrade Lakes Golf Club, Clive Clark. Plus, he gives us an aerial tour of the front nine when we return.
Golf Destination is brought to you by Goslings of Bermuda, the Spirit of Bermuda, The Preserve at Boulder Hills, Club and Residences, New England's most amenity-rich Four Seasons lifestyle community.
The thought of mixing my award-winning Black Seal rum with any old ginger beer drove me to this. Gosling Stormy Ginger Beer. Perfectly made to make the perfect dark and stormy.
Join me and the entire Golf Destination team as we travel to some of the best golf courses around the globe on Nessun. Since 1995, every episode of Golf Destination has showcased places to play and the people who make this game great. Visit our website golfdestination.tv for links to our social media channels and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Golf Destination. Tee it up with Golf Destination anytime, anywhere, and on Nessun. This month's airings of Golf Destination are brought to you in part by The Preserve at Boulder Hills.
There's actually a way to improve on Gosling's slowly aged Black Seal rum. Added to Gosling's finely spiced ginger beer. Result? The trademark dark and stormy.
In the very heart of New England is the finest Four Seasons sporting club and luxury residential community. The Preserve Club and Residences, 3,500 acres. Adventure, exclusivity, serenity. The Preserve Club and Residences, the adventure you've always wanted, the luxury you deserve. Limited memberships and residences available. Call for your private tour today.
This segment is brought to you by Goslings of Bermuda, the Spirit of Bermuda.
Welcome back. I'm Meredith Gorman. Clive Clark is a former Ryder Cup member for Europe and also an acclaimed architect. We spoke to him about his work at Belgrade Lakes Golf Club.
Belgrade Lakes was my first venture into designing a course in America, which was fantastic.
Clive, again, the right guy for the job at the right time. We had designers and architects from all over the country drooling over this piece of property. I mean, and Mr. Alphont knew a bunch of them, and they're pulling out all the stops trying to get in on this. But that's not really what we were trying to accomplish. And we met a roundabout way, a phone call with Clive. And at the time, he was working with Peter Allis and Ernie Els doing courses. He had probably 30 courses around the world.
And they invited me out in the middle of January, which I thought England was a bit nippy in the winter, but I tell you, Maine surpassed it by a long way. I think my layout, they realized, suited the site, one, but two, what I did was draw some draft sketches, and I put a little red dot, so if you stand here on the first hole, here's my impression of what you would see. Here's my perspective sketch of what that will look like when you have a golf course, and I think that intrigued them, and they appointed me to the job.
We talked with him, he did some hand drawings, and the rest is history. He's a very talented guy.
Kyle, if you will, project managed and supervised all the machines and the technical side and brought in the subs. It all worked very well, the two of us, and we both got on very well together. Kyle's a great guy.
Clive wanted 140 bunkers, Harold didn't want any. So we made him work for every bunker.
Early on, we had a layout at the time. We're looking at all these boulders. I mean, there were thousands of them on the site that we had to clear. All these boulders were picked up by big excavators, loaded onto dumper trucks, taken to the edge of the semi-rough, and that really became a major part of the design. It looked beautiful because it creates yet another layer from the pale green fairways, the darker green semi, into the stony coloured boulders, and then up into the pine and the forest. It was really a huge feature. Even when it was opened up, it looked like it had been there for 100 years, which is exactly what you want. They'll experience a golf course, I think, that is very fair, it's very playable. If you're shooting the ball all over the place, yeah, you'll be penalised, but so you should be. But it's not a penal golf course, it's a playable golf course with a lot of individual holes, and I would like to think they all have great personalities, each hole. It's a collection.
Clive has designed only 2 courses in New England, Belgrade Lakes and Lake Winnipesaukee Golf Club. He now gives us a tour of the front 9 at Belgrade Lakes.
Well, a splendid look at the first hole at Belgrade Lakes, played from a highly elevated tee onto a shelf, the green way below. It's a hole that opens and gives the golfer great confidence. It's very wide, no bunkers even by the green. You can see in the foreground right there some wooden ties which feature later on in the golf course. Now if you miss right on that cut fairway, you've got a very difficult little chip because you see the semi-rough on the right of the green, you're playing up to it. The second hole, par 3, middle length par 3, that huge bunker on the left of the green, and those tiny pots ready to grab the errant golf ball. Third hole, par 5, for the longer hitters, the very good players, reachable in 2. A short drive over rocks, but no specific great carry. And again, a wide, generous fairway, but avoid those rocks on the right. They can be nasty in spite of the fact the designer will tell you that they're engineered for the ball to kick back. Don't believe him. You play over a small stream, obviously danger on the left. Big shelf bunker, so not too difficult a shot from that, but an inviting hole and a possible birdie chance. The fourth hole, longish par 4, a gaggle of bunkers there on the left which can catch the unwary. See, it's a little bit tighter, you've got to get through that narrow gap, and ideally you're better playing on to the left edge of the fairway towards those bunkers because it gives you a better view into the green. Quite a long par 4, so probably not one to take your 3-wood out for your tee shot. And the green, just subtle breaks, nothing difficult, no buried elephants. Now the par 3, the second par 3, one of my favourite holes on the golf course actually. Beautiful little shot over the pond, but plenty of room to work with. One fairly deep bunker on the right. But the feature, you can see at the back of this green, there's a couple of wood tie bunkers. They're not really going to come into play a lot, but they make a nice aesthetic. Moving on down the 6th hole, par 5, relatively short par 5. Fairway drifts a little to the right where, as you can see, there is some treble. A lot of rocks on this golf course. I think we buried more of them than we actually used, but there's still thousands of boulders scattered about the place. Attractive lakes to the right, which are used for the irrigation system, and a snaky bunker down the right of this green. But again, a fairly modest green in terms of gradient. As we go to the 7th hole, dogleg right, par 4. Very much a question of positioning and shaping your tee shot. If you can hit a fade, which most people can off the tee, it gives you a slight advantage. It fits the angle of the fairway. Over a little brook and onto a green, which gives you a generous bounce from the right-hand side. Beautiful site though, tree-clad. All these holes were cut, they were hewn from a vast forest. Another favourite for me, the par 3 8th hole, with its little burn running down the left-hand side and a little more treatment back left. Note the wooden tied bunker. And again a fairly smooth green. An easier shot probably from the right-hand bunker because you're going uphill. Now the twisty 9th hole, the tee shot, all important. Trouble on the left, but don't venture too far to the right. The forest awaits there and that little clump of trees just sneaks out into the fairway. The second shot is uphill. The green has a small false front, but a wonderful backdrop with the clubhouse top left. Magnificent trees and beautiful canopies. It's generally hard to find on courses such as this, but they're magnificent.
Coming up, we tour the back 9 at Belgrade Lakes and later head to southern New England and see what's going on at the preserve.
A one-of-a-kind combination. The delicious taste of Bermuda's national cocktail, the Dark and Stormy, in a trendy and convenient 8.4-ounce can, ready to drink. The sleek cans are perfect for golf, boating, the beach, or any cooler or fridge. Pop open a cold Dark and Stormy can and have an instant party. Glass and ice are optional because it's frigid and flavorful. Enjoy, because things could get wild.
Consumers today are bombarded with millions of marketing messages every day. Outbound marketing like interpretive ads, direct mail, cold calling just don't work anymore. The sociable approach to marketing attracts individuals to your product by developing unique programs, postings, video series, and content delivery across all your social media platforms. Content that they enjoy and will convert them into lifelong customers. Let's start trending sociably.
In the very heart of New England is the finest four-season sporting club and luxury residential community, the Preserve Club and Residences, 3,500 acres. Adventure, exclusivity, serenity. The Preserve Club and Residences, the adventure you've always wanted, the luxury you deserve. Limited memberships and residences available. Call for your private tour today.
This segment is brought to you by Goslings of Bermuda, the spirit of Bermuda.
Welcome back, I'm Meredith Gorman. Now let's look at the stunningly beautiful back 9 at Belgrade Lakes.
Now the elevated tee shot from the 10th. Get a very good view of the fairway here. And it's a straightforward hole. There's just a couple of bunkers on the right by the green. No great trouble off the tee. Second shot though, slightly uphill, so it's advisable probably to take an extra club. It'll take a little bit of distance off the second shot. Beautiful autumnal views though. What a delight. Okay, the 11th hole. This is what I'd call a nice resting type of hole. There's no bunkers from the tee. It's perfectly wide. Of course, if you hit one that goes miles right or miles left, you're going to be in the woodland, which won't be too good, but gives the golfer a really good start to this hole. And again, very little trouble round the green. The bunkers at the back of the green, the ball will roll on from a shot pitching just short, and for want of a better word, it's a resting hole. It's a hole where you can relax a little bit. Now the par 5, one of the biggest boulders on the site right there on the right. We couldn't actually move it, and it did make a very nice feature, I have to say. You play over a small wetland, and then the ball will either stay on that plateau there or roll a little further on, and you'll have a short pitch shot into the green. A fairly deep bunker on the left, but again a very playable hole, and for the lower handicap player a definite chance of a birdie. The 13th. Unlucky for some, but if you hit a good tee shot, it's one of the longer, it's somewhere around 200 yards off the back. Again, there's a carry over a little burn there and a couple of bunkers off to the right, but a very generous target. Again, not a penal hole, but to make a 3 is a good result. And if you make a 2, well, that's absolutely wonderful. Curvaceous hole, the 14th, doglegging to the right, that lone tree standing, guarding the left-hand side of the green. Again, fairly open green. That's one of the features of this golf course. You're not having to make a lot of false carries to get to the pin. So it leaves the course open for the majority of whether you're 40 handicap or scratch. It's a good deal. The 15th hole, just the 2 bunkers on the right, but the fairway narrows down right in that little gap. It's only a drive and a pitch, but again, you've got to be careful here with the tee shot. It's a potential birdie. You might just have a sandown or a wedge to the green if you hit a long drive, but you've got to hit this fairway. Coming out of the semi-rough, you're not going to get a lot of action on the ball, and it's going to make the shot to the green, the approach, far more difficult. Aha, the 16th hole, beautiful par 5, and look at that maple tree. In a few weeks' time, that's going to go a gorgeous shade of red. The fairway narrows down just by the tree, and there's some more bunkers on the right with ties, but they don't really come into play. They're more cosmetic. The old wall on the left, eager to collect a ball, and that nest of bunkers on the right to a fairly narrow green. Par 5 though, with a bit of luck, you're only hitting a short shot for your 3rd. And again, if you hit a good pitch, good chance for a birdie. The 17th hole, a par 3, guarded on the right. You might get a good kick in though from the left of the green. Some undulation on this green, but not difficult undulation, no buried elephants here. A good tee shot, and you might not get close to the pin, but at least you've got a long putt for a 2, and potentially a 2 putt, which will give you a nice par. Par, always a good number. Now the final hole, the 18th. The beautiful lake off to the right. The lone tree that stands there defending the right side of the fairway, and a downhill second shot. This is a double green with the 9th. The green, collectively, both greens must be at least 70 or 80 yards wide. Again, depends on the pin placement, quite a lot of undulation on this green, but it is a downhill second shot, and you can see exactly what you face and what you have to do. A closing hole, and I'm sure there'll be an ice-cold beer for you when you get up to the clubhouse.
Up next, we visit southern New England and see what's going on at the preserve.
there's actually a way to improve on Gosling's slowly aged Black Seal rum. Added to Gosling's finely spiced ginger beer. Result? The trademark Dark and Stormy.
Join me and the entire Golf Destination team as we travel to some of the best golf courses around the globe on Nessun. Since 1995, every episode of Golf Destination has showcased places to play and the people who make this game great. Visit our website golfdestination.tv for links to our social media channels and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Golf Destination. Tee it up with Golf Destination anytime, anywhere, and on Nessun. This month's airings of Golf Destination are brought to you in part by The Preserve at Boulder Hills.
The thought of mixing my award-winning Black Seal rum with any old ginger beer drove me to this. Gosling Stormy Ginger Beer. Perfectly made to make the perfect dark and stormy.
In the very heart of New England is the finest four-season sporting club and luxury residential community, the Preserve Club and Residences, 3,500 acres. Adventure, exclusivity, serenity. The Preserve Club and Residences, the adventure you've always wanted, the luxury you deserve. Limited memberships and residences available. Call for your private tour today.
This segment is brought to you by the Preserve Club and Residences.
Well, thank you for joining us on Golf Destination. Remember, the conversation never stops on our social media pages. Visit us at golfdestination.tv, and there you'll find links to our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can always watch past episodes on youtube.com/golfdestination, and remember to season pass our show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Meredith Gorman, and we'll see you next time on Golf Destination.
Golf Destination is brought to you by Goslings of Bermuda, the Spirit of Bermuda, The Preserve at Boulder Hills, Club and Residences, New England's most amenity-rich Four Seasons lifestyle community.
Presented by Sociable, original social media programming.